Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Vertics here, and today I have a different format video for you guys where in all my other videos you would hear me read from a script and yap on, but today I'm going to be going straight off the dome, and if you would like more videos like this, please let me know. Me and Polar not so long ago recorded about an hour and a half, somewhere around that worth of content, and the entire file saved to pick up any of Polar's audio, so that video will be coming out sometime after this one. But today, as you can see by the title and thumbnail, we have One Piece characters who will return, and I decided to make a tier list for it. Now, let me go over the tiers and what they mean. Now, obviously, starting at the bottom, we have Won't Return, pretty self-explanatory. Minor role, this is just characters who will show up, like, they can't, like, just go forever without being seen, but they're not really gonna do much. Like, even if we do see them in the final war, it's just gonna be like, oh, they're there. They're not gonna actually be doing something in the final war. Present for the final war tier is more like people that will be fighting a Holy Knight, a Gorosei, and actually feeling like a big part of the war, not just even the numbers. And the major role tier is characters who will not only move the story within having a big fight, but something they do within their actions. So I think I have explained the tiers pretty well. So let's start off with Yamato. Now, Yamato is a controversial character for some very stupid reasons. A conversation that honestly shouldn't be held anymore because who really cares? But regardless, though, about if she will return, most definitely. I think that Oda actually wanted her to become a Straw Hat at first, but after receiving negative feedback about her, it changed his mind. And that's why she decided, or she is now roaming over Wano instead over the entire world like Odin did. Now, I think that was a pretty weird decision. At that point, if you made the panel where she said she's going to join the crew, you might as well just let her, but it's in the past now. That's all over with. And as for her role within the future, well, it's definitely going to be at bare minimum present for the final war. She does have the necessary capabilities to take on and defeat an Holy Knight, Elder, or even an Admiral if she gains more strength, and we saw her hold Kaido off for a moment, so that's a pretty big feat right there. She also possesses a mythical Zoan, so she's gonna have to fight someone with at least decent strength themselves. Now, I can't quite imagine her playing a role that's that big just because her character isn't that impactful. She's not meant to move these heavy pieces of the world, she's really just meant for her raw strength. Luffy and the gang won't have a hard time gathering numbers to match, but they could have trouble finding fighters to match against the many powerhouses the world government will have, and Yamato can certainly match them. So for that, I will put Yamato in the present for the final war tier. Now, up next is the man that she follows, Momonosuke, who I feel has very underlooked importance. For example, he not only has Kaido's Devil Fruit, but he's now the leader of Wano, a land that has no affiliations with the world government, and we already saw Greenbull try to march his way in there. Now, at some point in time, whether that's sooner or later, the government will try it again. And who will be the face that protects them? Momonosuke. And of course Yamato as well, but as we saw, Momonosuke wants to prove that he could protect Wano without the help of Luffy, and as time goes on, most likely Yamato. Now, what I believe will be his main and most important role is using the voice of all things to command Zunisha and other ancient beasts to attack both the government and open up Wano's borders. This ability is more rare than even Conqueror's Haki, and only a select few possess it, and it can't be overlooked towards the end of the series when we have two massive armies going to literal war with each other. Once Momo doesn't have to worry about the government attempting to take control of Wano, he will open up its borders, which will be more impactful to the land than even Kaido's defeat. And there's also a chance that Momo will learn how to use the hybrid form that we saw Kaido use, which will heavily intimidate anyone that tries to take over Wano, and he will go on to protect and lead the nation even after the series is over. So yes, Momonosuke is most definitely in that major role tier. Now, next up is a group of characters that fit perfectly in the present for the final war tier, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Now, being honest, they will even the numbers more than most. Now, they are directly following Luffy, and what I think will even the numbers more so than ever. They have multiple ships containing many different armies and races, but what's really going to give them the edge is the high possibility that Loki and the other giants will join the Grand Fleet. Hadruden is already a member, and with the government doing so much damage to Elbaf and the Giants over the years, they will have more than enough reasons to follow Luffy into the final battlefield, especially Loki. The man he idolized was Rox, who constantly attacked the world government, and there is going to be a lot more to his character than just sitting on Elbaf after the arc is over. He has crazy proportions even for a giant, and that's just saying something in itself. And I believe he will fight an elder more than a holy knight or an admiral, just because we have saw when they transform, they do have comparable size to the giants and have more power than the majority of the holy knights, if not all outside of Shamrock. The Straw Hat Grand Fleet will really make Luffy feel like he's commanding an actual army, and yes, the Grand Fleet does backpack off the giants, but really, what are fucking Bartolomeo and Cavendish supposed to do? Come on, guys. Now up next is Jewelry Bonnie. Someone who you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's not what we're here for. Will she return? I think she has to. I think that she just has to at least show up in a few panels with Kuma at some point or another towards the end of the series. And the only big role I think she has, or will play, I mean, is having some father-daughter moment with Kuma. Like, all her character work was an egghead, and I don't feel like it needs more. And I don't feel like Oda even really wants to add on to it. I feel like all of it was meant for it to be an egghead, right? So she's not gonna be moving the pieces of the story that way, and she's not gonna be having a big fight with like Gorosei. Maybe her and Kuma are fighting a holy knight at best, but even then, the best I can give her is the minor role tier. Following her, we have three characters, one who leeches off another, Law, Kid, and Killer, and obviously Killer leeches off a kid. Now, Law is a D-Clan member, but even more important than that is his devil fruit. The Appi Appi no Mi had a bounty of 5 billion berries before Law consumed it. This is worth more than even Luffy and Law himself. The government will most definitely want to get their hands on it, specifically for the immortality surgery. Now, I can't say for certain whether or not he will use this ability, because it's honestly a 50-50 at the moment. I mean, Oda has really showed that he's not too fond of killing off characters nowadays, alright? Maybe if this was earlier One Piece, that those odds would be more towards the death side, but seeing how he is now, it's more on the 50-50. And the thing with Law is he is a fan favorite character, meaning he brings in profit. So this is something that Oda is going to see. It impacts the story. It's not something that can just be overlooked, like, oh, it's just some money. No. Money is money. And One Piece brings in a lot of money. And Law brings in a decent amount of money for One Piece. Enough where Oda can consider it and be like, yeah, I have to give this guy some pretty big role to play. Being honest, he belongs in that major role tier. Alright? He is way too important in both having D-Clan heritage, having the Op fruit, and just being a profit margin for One Piece. And Kid is pretty similar in terms of he brings in money and revenue, but he does not have the D-Clan heritage. He does not have a devil fruit that the government really gives a shit about, but that level of importance he has being, you know, a revenue bringer, will be on Oda's mind enough that I could see him, being like, oh yeah, he does have Conqueror's Haki, because I feel like Oda forgets that kid has Conqueror's Haki. He never shows it ever, alright? The only time he showed it in the anime, which he wasn't even showing it, that was just Toei, he used it on some fodder and it didn't even like knock him out. So I'm sorry, like I am so certain that Oda had just forgot that he gave Kid Conqueror's Haki. But since he has that ability, he can fight a Elder, a Holy Knight, or even an Admiral. And because of his awakening and the fact that he was one of the two along with Law to beat Big Mom, I think that he will be strong enough that he won't just be fighting a Holy Knight, an Elder, or an Admiral. He will actually be one of the pieces that, if they weren't there, the side could go drastically in the favor for the government, like being a core piece for the battlefield. So I do think Kid, just off that fact, belongs barely in the major role tier. And Killer, like obviously, Kid and Law are going to come back. I've made that very clear. They're way too important, they're way too profitable to just leave them in the dust. And Killer, though, however, just isn't like that, alright? Just being honest. I'm not saying that people don't care about Killer, but if people rather just care about Kid, or Law, or just anyone else, and I don't think that Oda, at that point in the series, is going to give him some crazy big fight. He doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. I don't even think he showed, like, basic Haki yet. Maybe he has. Actually, no. Maybe he did. But even then, like it's not enough to have him fight a fucking Elder or a Holy Knight, and definitely not an Admiral. So for that, the bare minimum for him, or sorry, the bare maximum would be minor role. Following him is Yoroj, another former Worst Generation member. Now, the thing about Yoroj is that I think we're in a part of One Piece where if you haven't gotten your character arc yet and you're not a very big, strong, important character, you're not going to get it. I mean, even the minor Straw Hats themselves are struggling to do anything and just be on the panel. So, Yoroj is a pretty cool character. I love his Devil Fruit. I love how he can redirect damage into his size and strength. And he's also a Skypian. But if we haven't seen him now, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna move the story. He's not gonna... I don't think he's gonna have a character arc like Bonnie or Law or Kid. He's just not. So if he does show up, which I think he will, off the fact that Oda will be like, well, I gotta do something with him, he'll just be there for like a quick panel, like getting bigger in size and beating, like, at best a fodder Vice Admiral, but that's about it. So Yoroj is just gonna be in the minor role tier. Now, following him is Beje, and let's just be honest. Actually, you know what? Let's just go through these three. Boom, boom, and for you, because I don't even know if you're fucking alive, and I honestly have the littlest care for you. It's so small that it's genuinely non-existent. I don't care for Apu. Nobody does. He's not a profit margin. He's nothing for One Piece. All right, he can stay dead in Wano, or he can just be written out of the story. I don't care about fucking Apu. As for Beje and Drake, well, the only thing that, like, Beje will have going for him is being, like, Lola's wife and being, like, to, like, reunite with Nami or something. Maybe, like, having, like, a quick moment with Loki. I don't know. And then Beje just being there. That's the best. And Drake, when I look at that man's face, I don't see much confidence. He's a sword member, but what is he going to do? What can he do? Like, be honest. I don't think there's Drake stands outside. Not this Drake, at least. So we're gonna put him at minor role tier. All right. Now, up next is someone who people do care about, has a cool ability, but I do not think will return within the series, and that is Enel. Now, here's why I think Enel will not return. He's too weak. Him boasting about being a quote-unquote god will get him into some pretty big battles with people that won't take that kindly. And if he says that around someone like Emu, well, what the fuck is he supposed to do? Alright, he was weak as fuck in Skypiea, alright? I know some people out there like to imagine that he was stronger, even though he took a punch from a pre-gear to Luffy and was fucking hauling in pain on the ground, crying. And what is he doing on the moon? Those Tontada looking motherfuckers, they're not going to buff his strength. They're not going to boost him to this absurd level from Skypiea fodder to all of a sudden he can actually withstand attacks from like Yonko commanders in Olive. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Alright, he's just what we saw him return with was the cover chapters. That's it. He's not coming back. I don't care. And even if he does, he's going to get obliterated. Alright, that's the best he has going for him. Up next is someone that is, again, a fan favorite character with the cool ability, but isn't as weak, but did get power cliffed in Katakuri. And I do think he will return. He's most likely leading the Big Mom Pirates now, and being an ally of Luffy, it could be a possibility that he will lead the remaining Big Mom Pirates into the battlefield alongside Luffy and the gang. But I don't really see him doing too much, like, again, with Enel, not as bad, but what power buff is he going to gain right now? What can he do to gain that boost in power? I mean, he has the abilities to, like, fight maybe a Holy Knight, like a fodder one, maybe a middle of the pack one, but that's it. Nothing more. I don't know who he can fight between now and the final war that will give him a power boost to make him relevant again. Most of the characters that he could have fought have power cliffed him and or are in positions that they won't be fighting each other. He has the abilities to put down a Holy Knight since Conqueror's Haki is needed to defeat them, but that, in my opinion, will be the ceiling of his future. Another former Luffy antagonist, and someone that we have mentioned previously, is Doflamingo. Someone who, out of everyone I've mentioned so far, I think will play the most important role. Now here's why. He is a former celestial dragon of the Don Quixote family that has incredible secrets and knowledge of Mary Joie. And I don't think this is just emo, okay? Whatever this is, I feel Oda is saving for Doflamingo to release it to the public towards the end of the series. Not too long ago, we saw him in shackles, so he's still pretty fresh in Oda's mind and someone that, you know, he probably has plans for. I don't think he's just gonna let him sit and rot and fucking impel down. And with that being said, I do think Impel Down Breakout 2.0 will happen, and I think the Cross Guild will be what leads that. And because of that, I think Doflamingo will join Cross Guild. All right, it's been theorized before. It's not original. All right, I'm not the first one to say this, but it's a theory that I highly believe in. I highly support. Doflamingo, just like Law and Kid, are too profitable to forget about, and I don't think that what his role will be like anything with strength. I think that was all in Dressrosa. His role will be exposing Mary Joie and dying to Emu or Law, someone like that. Like that's what I think it will be. But those secrets he will release will be big enough that it will drastically change how the world sees the world government. And even if that secret is Emu, exposing Emu's identity to the entire world is still big enough to put you in that major world tier. All right, that's not something that just is known by many at all. Even Sabo tried to release this information to Dragon, and before he could get the words out, Emu tried to pack his ass up. So that alone is enough to put Doflamingo in that major role tier. Following Doflamingo, though, is the man that I think will join him in Impel Down 2.0 in Weevil. Now, I do think he will join Cross Guild as well, but the main reason that I think that he will have some decent role to play within the story is having Whitebeard's DNA and ties to Miss Buckingham, who herself has or had ties to Whitebeard. Now, the thing about Weevil is we don't really know how strong he is. There is a statement saying that he was as strong as Whitebeard in his youth, but obviously this was not talking about Prime, nor even Guide Valley Whitebeard, probably an actual youthful Whitebeard, but that's still a pretty good feat to have, alright? And he did lose to Greenbull, but this is an Admiral, alright? I know a lot of people love to slander Greenbull, it's their thing, but losing to an Admiral is the same as losing to a Yonko. You lost to a top tier. It's not something that's just to be laughed at, alright? It can happen to anybody. Now, the thing with Weevil, though, is what will be his character outside of being like, oh, my pops, I gotta get revenge for my pops and stuff like that, like trying to gather like the former Whitebeard pirates, maybe, like that's about it. And but if he does truly have Whitebeard's DNA, then I think he will be a decent figure in the final war, but more having a minor role tier. I don't see him actually fighting a Holy Knight or an Elder, not an Admiral, especially after you already lost to Greenbull. And but I'll say this: if he showcases Conqueror's Haki, I in the future will put him in this tier. Right? If he did show Conqueror's Haki, he would be here just off the fact that he could do something against the Holy Knights and play a decent part in the fight. But since he hasn't at the moment of this video, he's going to be in the minor role tier. A former warlord who does have Conqueror's Haki and does have more importance than Weevil is Boa Hancock. And I think that the final war will be her peak character moment. And let me tell you why. Every moment with Boa Hancock is usually her simping over Luffy, right? That's all it usually is with her. But why does she hate men exactly? Because of what the men did to her when she was enslaved by the world government. So, if she sees the world government's protectors, or the Celestial Dragon's protectors more specifically, like the Holy Knights and the Elders, she, rightfully so, should get pissed off and charge in at one of them and fight them. And I think this will be a pretty big one, like either an Elder or one of the strongest Holy Knights. So for that alone, she definitely belongs in the present for the final war tier. Some people don't really like her too much, and I get it. The Luffy simping stuff is annoying, and she's not the most likable with all of her personality. But I do think that people will start to respect her in the final war, because I'm so certain she will have this moment with a high up Holy Knight or Elder. And I do think Oda acknowledges that Boa is needed for a moment like this, to fight an Elder, to fight maybe a Shamrock, to fight maybe a Summers, alright? That will be a very important moment with her, and I think it'll be the biggest moment with her in the future when the story is said and done. So yes, Boa will be fighting a Elder or Holy Knight. You know what? This is kind of bad that we're doing this in the middle of the video, but we'll put yeah, you know what? We'll just change this now, alright? I don't care. I can do it. Fighting a Holy Knight slash Elder. Okay, there we go. Two characters who, just like Doflamingo and Weevil, will most likely be in the Impel Down Breakout 2.0 are King and Queen. Now, unfortunately for them, I think that they peaked in Wano, alright? I don't think that they're going to really do much in the final war, if at all. They don't have Conqueror's Hockey. They can't fight a Holy Knight or an Elder. They really don't even like Luffy. They don't like Zoro. They don't like Sanji. So, what's really in it for them? The best would be like King is trying to revive the Lunarians. I'm trying for everybody. I'm trying to think of like the best case scenario, and that's the best thing I could think of. Maybe like Queen doing something with his science, like making some type of poison, using it against the government. I don't know. I really don't know, but the best that they have is the minor role tier. Okay, that's the best that they got going for them. Now, the character that I think will be without a doubt the most important on this list is Nefertari Vivi. Now, the reason why I think she is so important stems from recent knowledge we have gained about her, being a D-Clan member, being the now leader of Alabasta, and of course having ties with Luffy and knowledge of Emu. These are all things that put you in that major role tier alone, all right? I don't think I really need to explain much. You're leading one of the ancient kingdoms. You have knowledge of Emu. You are a D-Clan member, and there's a very big possibility, you are the direct descendant of Lily, someone who herself had ties to both Joy Boy and Emu and the Void Century. So for this, like I said, Vivi is instantly in the major role tier, but what I think will make her the most important character on this list is that she will use her pull as Queen of Alabasta to unite the other nations against the world government. King Riku and Dressrosa will be there to back her up, and even after the series is said and done, she will still be impacting the world as ruler of Alabasta, so in my opinion, she belongs well in the major role tier. Following Vivi is Carrot, someone who, just like Vivi, has now had control of her home territory, alright? Cat Viper and Dogstorm did give her privilege to rule Zoe, and obviously with the ties they have with the Straw Hats and being, on Zunisha and Momonosuke having the voice of all things, if Zunisha runs into the battlefield like I assumed after Momonosuke asks him to, well, I think then the Minks will also follow suit. But that's really all they'll do. Like, the best thing I could see is like they'll have some cool panel spread where there's like a full moon and they all go in their Sulong forms. That's it. So Carrot's just gonna be in the minor role tier. We now have a man that has been in the story for decades now in Smoker. He definitely will return and be fighting in the final war, where I believe he will be one of the catalysts that drives the Navy against the government. If you know me, I'm very sure that the Navy will split apart from the government, and Smoker having his own unit following him can play heavy influences for the random Marines to switch sides. And there's also a chance that he will become an admiral at the end of the series. He's someone who I see living and helping Kobe lead the future of the Marines onto the correct path. He's not going to be the main cause for the Navy and the government going against each other, because if you know me, I'm going to say it's Akainu, all right? It's not something that I'm saying just for agenda. I full-heartedly believe that Akainu will be the major impact in the Navy and the world government splitting up. But still, Smoker can and will play one of the more important minor roles at the end of the story. Now up next is Magellan. Now, I don't really see much for him. He is pretty much going to either get killed in the Impel Down Breakout 2.0, or he's just gonna be on screen for a few panels and probably get fucked up by someone in Cross Guild breaking into Impel Down again. But that's about it. Like, if you want an actual good moment for his character, the best would be getting killed by Shiryu or having some moment with him. But I don't know. I realistically, being honest, the best I could give Magellan if he does come back, and the only reason I think he will is because I think there has to be a second Impel Down breakout, will be the minor role tier. Now, up at last, we have Shiki, someone who I feel Oda kind of dropped the ball with. In terms of the God Valley flashback, he disappointed a lot of us. Now, to be fair, if I heard that there was treasure chests with $5 billion in them, I would go after them too. All right, I can't knock a man for getting his money, but he did like nothing in terms of feats. All right, like what real feats did he have in the God Valley flashback? Like nothing. We still can't even scale him really. It's still like, oh, he's said to be Roger's rival, but he's also said to be Silver Axe's rival, who got fucking shit on by Polo. So is Polo stronger than Shiki? Like, it's not much, all right. And he's not said to be dead, but if we know that the man on that cover page talking to Crocus was Gabon, well, then what? Where the fuck is he? What is he doing? Is it really not? Is now really the time for Shiki to drop in and be like, "Yo, Luffy, I'm gonna fight you"? Or I generally don't know. Like, I don't even see him fighting like Luffy if he did return. Maybe like go against the government or something. Like help train Kid. I saw that being a theory, but I don't know. I don't really think that he will even return. To be honest, I'm gonna be on. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in that won't return category. I just don't see Shiki as someone who Oda really has much high regards in. He's not like Lion Kid bringing in profit. He's not someone who has deep ties to the story's lore. He's just kind of there, and for that, and him having nothing really to do if he pops up, I'm just going to say he won't return. That's going to be it. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'm pretty satisfied with the list. Like I said at the start of the video, if you want me to make more tier lists or me just going straight off the dome like this, just let me know. I am more than happy enough to make some more. As always, follow my Twitter at Vertics_ for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.